This is CyberPod EU, the European cybersecurity podcast powered by SOCWISE.
Welcome to the new episode of CyberPod EU. I'm Gergely Lesku, your host. We have a new episode lined up for you, which became very actual recently. We'll be diving into the realm of cloud security, discussing topics like DevSeCops, SASE and IoT security and SaaS security as well. Joining us are special guest Steffen Behnke, Head of IT at Prefere Resins, who you may know from our previous episode, one of our previous episodes, where we discussed the OT security topic. Hi Steffen, how are you today?
Oh, hi Gregory. I'm fine. I'm okay. Thanks for having me here and inviting me again to your podcast. I'm fine. Busy, of course, but however, fine for the day.
I'm happy to hear that. Despite that it's Monday, we discussed it earlier, that Monday is always the busiest day for us, but at least it's summer. I hope summertime makes it a bit more relaxing at some days. At least what I experience these days, that there is a lot of work, of course, but we have some hours, some days when you can a bit prepare for your strategical thoughts and not just on the daily day-to-day work. So, hi everyone again, and so let's start with the topic. And last time we were specifically discussing security and definitely OT security, but now we have cloud security in front of us. I thought of discussing this with you as well, because you mentioned several times last time that you have experience and you have a lot of cloud resources in use. So I thought it would be a great occasion to discuss it with you again and dive into this data protection, privacy, compliance. So we have a lot of aspects to take into consideration regarding the cloud security. So what do you have a specific approach to cloud security, or is it different for you? How would you sum it up?
Let's starting at a complete different point. Our company has been established approximately 2013, 2014, and we are some of the early birds of the usage of the cloud. Mm-hmm. So we started in 2015 with using email cloud, simple, let's say the Exchange server was migrated into the cloud. However, and beyond, we have a clear strategy from the IT common perspective that we say, okay, we have topics as a lot of things we are doing with outsourcing. We have a very small IT internal team, very specialized and so on. And one of our points for our success story is really that we have a cloud first strategy. What means in case regarding infrastructure and so on, we started really very, very early with the usage. But but by our strategy and our mindset, we had a clear approach to increase this on, let's say, on smart level from now, meanwhile, very huge level. So we have more or less all things managed in the cloud with the common IT. Mm-hmm. And so I would think, based back on your aspects, we are really in a position to say, we know, meanwhile, a lot of things, of course, by more and more intensive usage of the cloud, what is important, what is not important. Also, of course, some learning curves and so on. Don't want to hide them. Yeah.
By the way, what were the factors because of which you decided to cloud, and did it change by time? So
we had several key reasons why we increased the usage of the cloud. It started with, of course, with the scalability, on example, with the performance. You have an availability as much as possible and so on. And we had a clear approach. Of course, it's also a cost topic, to be honest. Yeah. But however, I would say at the end, if you calculate that at the end, it's sometimes if you take on example only a period of 1 or 2 years, then it's cloud more extensive. Yes. Mm-hmm. But you must see all aspects of the background. If you have, for example, a simple server, you have to take care about connectivity, of firewalling, of antivirus, of operation system, have to do maintenance, updates, implement there. Also for the antivirus, you have to do this at least in a daily manner, and all such things. You have a backup, you have to have a restore strategy, disaster recovery, all the things that at the end, nobody has a simple server there. On the server, each server, you have them on top services to provide anything special in your environment. Let's say an application, or you have a database, whatever. What's increasing the complexity, at least. Also, then you have suddenly systems as an ERP system, where you have a application server is combined with a database server. You have a file storage in the back, and so on, and so on, and so on. And that's was one of our attention as the services from the cloud has been also increased across the last, let's say, 8 years. That you're getting a lot more. You can get in direct SQL Server, for example. You can, let's say, rent them and so on. And you don't really care about specific firewalling and so on and so on, and database, backup, restore, availability, snapshots, all things what we know. At the end, what we are doing, or when you are doing such things on-premise, it costs money. It costs real money. Either you have a good team, what costs as salary and so on, and on top you have, if you have more usage and increasing services and so on, then you must, either you spend at any time in the next person in the team, so more salary, or you have a different approach. You take it with an outsourcing partner, whatever. So that's a combination of all of them and so on. And as this cloud is also only one of our key point strategies, and we have also the approach, let's say, self-driven optimization. Each time, each day, each year, and so on, we are try to do also with the common digitalization. Let's say, common means sounds a little bit strange, but that we said, okay, we want to automate more. We want to do a lot more. Implement AI, on example, and such things. So it was a combination of them, and that's why we came more and more and more in a solution that we said, yeah, let's see and let's check what's going on. And we had a simple, very smart and simple use case. And one example in 2017, where we had at one of our sites a local file server, or we had a lot of file servers at local sites, and at one site, it was the oldest one. We discussed what we do by we new hardware, taking care again, updating Windows, new Windows licensing, and so on and so on. Or, for example, if we move the data into the cloud in SharePoint, synchronize them with OneDrive, and so on. And that was a decision point for us. So also on this example, to say, hey, we took this site, we did a really POC that we said we implement the setup and so on across 1 or 2 nights. We uploaded all data from the file server into the cloud. And afterwards, we synchronized with OneDrive back to the clients and so on, so that they can use them and so on. And I stated simple, so guys, now I'm leaving and coming back in 4 weeks. And then it's clear question, you want to keep them as a cloud-based with all the benefits, or also that you can use them offline and so on, or we roll back on a new server. So the people from the business was very clear. It was one voice. We want to keep cloud and OneDrive. So I understand that. And this was so such a, let's say, a kind of also confirmation. Okay, it works for the people. They understand it. They accept it. There is user acceptance there. But is back on our original topic. In this relation, and we also said, hey guys, now we don't have a VPN, we don't have might be a Citrix or other, let's say, central managed remote solution. But we cannot simply do this with OneDrive only and synchronize them and so on. Looks easy, looks nice, and the people accept them, but we have to do some clicks and setups in the back for that we increase the security level on this new level of usage.
Yes. And it can become really, really complex. If you don't grab it at the right timing, and the user starts to use it their own ways, then it's nearly impossible to get hold of it. I understand. So you started with this try and do process, and then did you also evaluated a strategy out of it? Because many companies, you hear that they are bringing up new strategical mindset projects, etc. before going into any kind of installation. But as I understand, you did it the other way around.
Yeah.
But at the end, after all, do you have something like a Bible or the top 10 which you need to concentrate of, or how you do this?
It's a good point. It's a very good point. At this stage, as we had a kind of, it started with this as a proof point, let's say, not only a POC, it was also a proof point, makes cloud for us sense and so on. And we started really to make, let's say, a kind of spreadsheet to say what our main applications, what we're using common, where they are located. Is there an opposite cloud-based solution available? Yes or no? What is our strategy regarding timelining and so on and so on? It is easy, yes or no, and also, and very, very important, the usability for example, from Microsoft was across the last year huge increased, and the people, let's say, from the current standpoint, I can only tell you, the people say using a cloud, it is so simple. It's so simple, but we as IT say, oh shit, we have in the back now, meanwhile, 300 options where we have to take left or right the sticker. For IT, it's getting more complicated. Mm-hmm. And that was and so we started this timeline and so on. We picked up each year, okay, so what you mentioned with the Bible, we picked up from our list each year a solution set, okay, what on each year where we can do this, that, and what makes sense, which kinds of orders, and so on and so on. So we are currently today, can tell you it's more or less that we are full cloud-based with all our environment, all our applications, and so on. Of course, we have some minor applications still not cloud-based running, but we are really in progress there to bring us as a standard at each site at the company. So. On this example was OneDrive. We implemented this across 2017, 2018 at all our sites as a standard and so on. And beside of the basic implementation tools synchronized, we said, okay, it looks easy, but we restructured, for example, the data files and folders and so on. We said, hey guys, we have a plan. I shared them and so on across a lot of people. I shared where I said, hey, what I noticed during this proof of concept, you have very unstructured data. So it was a kind of history and so on. Any person created a new folder, placed there some files, they collaborated together and so on. And we said, hey guys, we have a structure based on our company. We created such kind of template and said, and that will be the new standard beside. And with the guys from the POC, we restructured again the data, so inside of the cloud and so on. So and said, okay, this is our strategy of the basic template for saving data, and this is our template for permissions and so on. So that also the IT had a great benefit of them. It's much easier, meanwhile, for us to manage permissions, access, and so on. So that was
very good to hear.
Yeah, but this was really a huge change of mindset in the IT. It was very tough to convince the people, and it was also a huge, very tough task to convince the business to say, "Hey guys, this is our strategy template. We have an improvement that's approval that's and then evidence that it works for one site and it works also for different sites. And meanwhile, we have all our sites restructured with this template. But this is important to come back to the statement, do you have a Bible? It is, you have, before you do such steps, you have to do a lot of things to think over what is our plan, what is our approach, is IT seeing a kind of, let's say, subset or template, because the business don't see them. They were very clear. And believe me, we have such kind of containers called Agile. There's a lot of things inside where people said, I don't know where the data is coming from and it's collected in the past and so on. And we did, I said very clear, we don't delete them. We have enough space in the cloud, we place them there. And in case if we search for anything, this is latest the plan C, where we could say we check them and the data will be. If we don't have them there, then we have them not anywhere. Yeah. So was a huge tough the progress and so on, and I also had to travel and visit each site personally to say, hey, visit the persons, make workshops, explain the plan, what is it, and so on, and come back after a while to say, yeah, now we have prepared the subset, we have prepared the cloud, now we do the transitions, we go live, and so on, and it was a huge task for the people.
But I can imagine that it even helped the business, because when there's a company which is just evolving and developing, the data is getting more and more complex, the new organizations are formed, the former are gone away, but the data just remain there. Nobody structured them again. Nobody ever knows which is important, which is secret, and what should be done. But if you do this one time, you will, it will be so much enlightened, eased and oiled. And processing of the data.
It was a huge improvement for the business, because before sometimes they had to ask people, hey, where I find this data, and do you know if this, where we have this data, next person. And meanwhile, we have it very structured and so on, and we have a kind of substructure there, an example for departments where we say that's a common folder, where the owner of this folder is the department, and it is presenting in read mode only for other departments' information. We have a kind of shared folder where the people can interact with other departments and so on. They're placing a file, on example, where two have write mode and so on. And we have an internal where only the department has read-write access and nobody else. Yeah, so you have to create the rules too, and you have to convince the people really to say it works. Believe me, we trust in us and so on. And in 2019, 2020, we acquired 2, 3 other sites and so on. And we are also there currently. It took a while to migrate the data and also discuss and so on, share our template where we said that the template is must-have. We can increase them with more with more departments or more purposes and so on. But this is the basic template, no excuse. It's a must-have and so on. And also, if there is an empty, if we, on example, don't have an HR person at a smaller site, there's existing still an HR folder where we said if it's empty, it's empty. It's not a problem. But this standard has to be there. Yeah, and so it's much more easier for the people to say, hey, who is the owner of the file? On example, it's quality control. Then I need to go and quality control shared. If I have to submit data or have the quality control department submit data, no, please don't share them by email. Have the file, place them there. If you are still in required mode to use the file storage, for example, but that's was a huge task, but we had success really there, and it's really we have to think over how are you doing this and so on, how is your permission structure, how you manage permissions and so on. We found also our way there very easy. So an example, when I'm on vacation, it's very easy for another IT employee at us to say, the person is requesting access to this folder. It's very easy for them to bring in the right access mode. They only need to ask 2 questions. Does the person need read mode or does the person need read and write mode? So easy.
Yeah, with file access, definitely. And as you mentioned, because you are using Microsoft tools, you are using software as a service solutions at the end, like Teams, for instance. But are you also using other? Yeah, in my eyes, that's
we're using a lot. We're using all what we're using Teams. We're using Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OneDrive, SharePoint. SharePoint also as a kind of intranet where we have cross-site interactivities and so on as a central placement point. We are in a position. We are one of the early birds, I would say. Let's think it was 2015. I believe it was approximately 16 or 17, I believe it was also 17, where we were the first one which implemented in Germany as a company installation of an laptop, desktop, and so on via full cloud-based. Now it's autopilot. In the past, it was closed, or however the solution was called. We were one of the first in Germany, which also doing this installed via cloud the devices and so on. And it was really a nightmare to use them because you didn't, on example, have any progress bar and so on and so on. And the setup was very difficult to create our setup for a client. But meanwhile, we had a success story there. It's Intune is one of our famous solutions, on example. We're using Azure. We're connecting a lot of applications, SASE applications, also directly via our cloud with a challenge handshake and so on. And so also the user acceptance is then much easier for the people to say, oh, for our BI solution, this one is also as a SAS solution available. And the people only clicking on a link. And in the back, they will full authenticated as, oh, I'm a user from Prefere. I'm allowed to do this. I'm connecting this. And they don't get a request to type in again their password. So the people love this too. And it's one of our main key approaches from the IT to say, hey, the user acceptance must be there. And if it's easy, then they accept them. If it's complicated and they have to type 10, 12 passwords, it's complicated for them. And at the end, we have one central point from back to the security. We have one central point. If we want to stop for a person's access, we simply deactivate the user. It takes 3 clicks. It takes 5-10 seconds and then stop.
So it is sounds great. So it is also the way to somehow synchronize or manage the several other cloud providers or application providers. Or what do you recommend for others? Because, as you said, the business leads the way. They try to find the best new tools they found on the market. Sometimes they are just from startups. You never know how much longer they exist anymore.
Now it's not easy, but you must have a kind of culture of this. On example, as we implemented in solution in the cloud for one of our site for company maintenance and so on, the people came along to me and understood we have to ask the IT. Before we agree anything, before we sign the contract, we have to ask the IT. We have to get in touch at least to discuss with them. Not simple as they don't block us, they only want the best for us. But for IT security, they don't, the normal person in the business don't have any experience with this. They don't know what is important to think over and so on. And I was laughing because here in the back of my screen, I see having a whiteboard and so on. I explained a lot of people then how IT security in the cloud and with different application works and so on. And it was some days ago, on example, also the Worker Council came along and asked me, oh, how does it work in the IT security with this electronic reporting that I'm not available, that my doctor said I'm sick, I cannot work anymore, and so on. And I explained that really to say, hey, I explained this so that you will understand this, but the people need to have trust in this and so on. And how works the security, how's the data privacy, the compliance, all the things that's important for the people then. And how it works that then suddenly the HR person in the company know that I can work. So only because my doctor is doing this and such things was very important for them. That's why it's a really a culture thing too, that they came along and asked me such things when you think first step, it might be more personally driven and with a touch of private, but no, they are interested in it. They say we are the trusted center as an internal IT, that they came along and asked such question, or another lady came along and asked. we had to have it on one server still an on-prem application which we want to migrate into the cloud, and we contacted the team leader of them and said, we would like to migrate them. We know that you are also currently looking around for an application to manage data for your department and so on. you would be interested in to do this with a cloud-based application. And she was surprised that she was a lady. She started in April at our company and said, I never experienced that the AT is coming along and asking for refreshing an application. It's was in the past that the business came along. Oh, there's a newer release. Can we migrate them? IT, please help. And now the IT comes along and say, we would like to do.
It is always painful from IT perspective.
Yeah.
Despite that, you approach the internal customers. At the end.
Yeah. Great. So she was very surprised and said, okay, but what's from IT perspective important? And then I used again my whiteboard and made a draw and explained to her this the lady, okay, and that's also surprising. It was very compliant to our basic strategy of the next SaaS solution we would like to migrate and so on. I said, it's a benefit. You can start. I help you. I will be in the sessions. Ask for help, and you will get your help. Promised, and so on. It was a complete. And she came from a much larger company. It said she never experienced this culture that the IT is coming along and that the IT would like to help, but the IT has a kind of, let's say, pushing character. But she understood it not as she get pressure on. She understood it very clear. It will be much easier and smarter with any implementation, with any integration, and so on. And when the IT is involved, it's getting not painful. It's getting really much more friendly. We are very, very trained what we are doing here, so that we want to be a business partner.
Mm-hmm. Great. So, it's indeed. I think you have in most cases a human solution for technical issues. That's that's how I see it. Talking to you, and I really like it because on the other hand, you have the technical skills, but these are not the skills you need to use with other people interacting. That's clear.
It's a collaboration, really, in real collaboration culture point, where I think it's not existing at each company. I know, but it's it's part of our success story.
True. Sounds good. I have a favorite topic, but I'm not sure if you want to address it. It's DevSeCops, or the security of the DevOps teams and environments. Have you got any views on that? Yeah, or shall I elaborate a bit more? What do I mean by that, and why do I think it's crucial?
Feel free first to give your mindset, and then I will pick up with our setup or what we understand as preferred with this background.
The background would be for that is that nowadays it's getting more and more natural that the software releases are not given out every half a year or every 1 month, but potentially several releases are patched or issued on a daily basis, and the DevOps teams or the developer teams are working very much in different teams, so they are not definitely or not necessarily communicating to each other. And in contrary to the waterfall models, there is not too many chance to test every single patch. And that's the change. So on one hand, the technology behind microservices environments, software as a service solutions in which you, issue a new license or a new version, which is not necessarily a new code, maybe just a new snippet, something has been changed at the end, or a new part of code would be added, but you will never have a chance to find it out on the live environment because it's done somewhere in the cloud. There was a server brought alive, and then it's deleted on the next day, and you will never have a chance to test the code again. So I think it's something evolving as a threat for the security of the IT departments, and I'm really curious what is your opinion on that?
It's of course we are not. It doesn't match directly with our company, with our setup and so on. And we don't have traditional software development and so on. But however, of course, we have software development, or let's say software setups and changes and so on and so on. And for several major applications, we have implemented a three stages environment. So we have a product live environment, we have a test environment, we have a stage environment. And in case if we have a request in prod, it will be done. The setup will be copied into the stage, we develop, and so on, and then bring it in the test environment. And in the test environment, we have several key users and IT and so on. The testing then before we migrate them into the prod environment. So that's why, let's say in this manner, it's not our full clear approach because in the past it was not so well prepared for, especially for our ERP system that we have there. It was on-prem, but we go across the next years on also there in the cloud, and this is for us very clear that we then also have again 3 stages. So full production environment, we have a test environment, we have a stage environment, and so on. So that we have really their migration and so on. And I absolutely agree. It's very, very important to have the security there on. And an example, the major important things there around us is a normal user of Prefere don't have access to the stage environment. So we scattered them and said, not only administrative thing, it's really so that I don't have access to the stage environment, that the developer can really develop the things there and migrate them. And also from the next security, not each person has access to the test environment, only more the tester, and so on, so that he can test them then. And first during this process stage, we migrate them and so on. But however, of course, we have also DevOps in use for bigger projects, which we had across the last, mainly because IT-based or the past 2019, 20, we migrated from the new acquired sites from an old SAP system to our Microsoft-based ERP system. And during this stage, we also, as a kind of part of this ERP project, we had DevOps in use and so on. And it was very important for us not to share to everybody what's going on, what are the tasks and so on, can we do this and so on, or what you mentioned is the application releases, so that we have the clear strategy, clear approach, and in case if we have a problem, it's for us part also of a kind of, let's say, disaster recovery strategy. Very important for us that we say, okay, we have a high available prod environment, and we have at least, if we copy from time to time this in the test environment, so that we have at least also there a status where we could at any time also can work proactively in case if the prod environment has been hacked, we can use the test environment when the copy was yesterday or 3 hours ago and so on. And then we can very quick enable the test environment that the people can use them. So easy it is. Yeah, that's why it's very important to have the security, release management, change management. You have a clear plan and balance what works and so on. And also security, that not each person can act at each environment and such things. And also from the IT, when you think, hey, the guys ask me, oh, you are the head of IT, you should have access to all the 3 stages. And I said, no, that's not our approach, it's not our plan. Yeah, that's also important to explain the guys, hey, that's not our plan. And then also in relation of updates and changes and so on, it's important that the people which are involved in such updates, that they get access, that they know what works on and so on. But that was also one of our parts, an example in relation of why we are going into the cloud. So I believe it was approximately 1 or 1.5 year ago that in exchange the on-prem servers, there was a kind of vulnerability available. And all the guys, also my upper management, came around and asked me, oh, this we have installed the patch and tested them before. And I said, we are the cloud with the mail system. Microsoft is doing this on behalf of us. We only need to use the cloud. Microsoft is doing this with testing and so on, does the installation works, they submit them as soon as possible. That we have shifted to the main experts, which we can, and that was one additional part of our strategy to say, also in this relation of patch management, of new releases, that's much easier at the cloud. Currently, we know, meanwhile, for our SaaS ERP solution, where we want to go across the next years, in this relation, it's really getting complicated more. That as the Microsoft has a different strategy, you have to submit updates 2 times a year at least, best case 8, and so on. And then it's clear for us our workload will be changed from into this testing mode to testing several things and so on, because our let's say customization, which we have them there and so on, or if we're using Power Apps, on example, that we say, no, okay, that we have to check on the new release our Power App again, if it's works still. Yeah, so that's clear for us, and that will be changed. So we're changing our scope in this relation, in this direction to DevSeCops. Yeah.
Clear. Because you mentioned Microsoft, I think we could. We have another topic, but I would like to start now with the headline of the week, if you don't mind, because that's clearly about Microsoft vulnerability.
Headline of the week.
I would shortly summarize what is this about. So Microsoft has been a target of cyber attacks in the past, and they have made efforts to address and mitigate such incidents. But Microsoft has discovered an unpatched zero-day security vulnerability in several of its Windows and Office products. The vulnerability, identified as CVE 2023 36884, I just checked it actually, and it's still not patched. So I think it's being exploited. So it's really valid nowadays. So it enables malicious actors to gain removed code execution via malicious Office documents. So the researchers claim the vulnerability was observed in attacks targeting organizations that attended the NATO summit in Vilnius, and Microsoft is aware of targeted attacks that attempt to exploit these vulnerabilities by using specially crafted Microsoft Office documents. We will put the link in the podcast notes. How much do you know of it? It started, I guess, on the 11th of July, so it's 2-3 weeks ago, and still exploited in the cloud. Are you concerned about this vulnerability?
Yes. Of course, I'm concerned about each vulnerability. It's not only Microsoft, but of course, it's Microsoft very present there with such things as most used software across the world. It's a clear hit point where they want to go there. But it's come back to my former words. But of course, it's not so that we are waiting only for that Microsoft is patching anything, or on example, there was in the past, I know we had any kind of vulnerability where they stated very clear, if you remove the registry key on your clients and so on, it could be helpful as a workaround. And so such things we're doing immediately. That's a focus you must to have. That's cloud security. That's not only wait, you keep your awareness about such things and have to think, what you are doing in this relation and so on. Do you can do proactively as the IT of your company something, or you have something read in the blogs anywhere, anybody has an idea, at least to find a workaround, then we're doing this. And so that's a kind of change. In the past, we concentrated a lot of things for the desktops and the clients and the servers. And meanwhile, you are with cloud-based solution, you are more in a position to say, it's a thing where you have documents and so on. How you handle this on this example? Is this possible? Then you concentrate it, of course, a little bit more on the side of client. What you can do on the client side there regarding this and so on. And regarding such topics, we involved, or we have several solutions meanwhile implemented to bring our people more safe through the day. Let's say in this manner, hopefully. But you have to be your attention there on, and you have to discuss such things really proactively. We have such culture in our IT team, on example, that we talk in the internal IT each week at least once. That was a special meeting where we say, there's such topics we'll be bringing on the desk. It's not only telling what you experienced across the week, what you did across the weeks, and also such common things. Is there something we need to act there as soon as possible? If we have something which at least has to be done across the next days. And so on. And on top, we have collaboration with our outsourcing partners and so on, at least each second week meeting and such things. So you have to discuss this and in relation of such things, then we also send an email to our IT partners and say, does anybody has an answer on this? It's not only us, so increase the mass of the heads, of the mindsets. Do we have any idea about this? And so on, and not only the internal team or not only the external team, increase the mass of people who thinking about this. And then find a way, or if we have are we mostly covered with our currently solutions and so on. I would say as a recommendation, at least simple, is that we sometimes get, or very often get from externals emails where they saying, on example, or if they want to sell something to the company, they have some links there on and so on. And we said very clear as a company, we don't open links. If the people have a PDF file, they can attach them. And we have good solutions which can cover much better PDF files to investigate and check if they are compromised or not on such things. But please, people, don't use links. And if anybody is sharing you in OneDrive, it's a bad case. That's also a thing what we train the people a lot to say, don't use OneDrive from externals. Or don't use SharePoint from externals. What we're doing internal is a different thing. They're using heavily SharePoint, but not external. We don't provide links to externals to SharePoint places. So
smart.
That's the thing of. It's always such things are always concerning. That's what you mentioned. It's also a thing of technical thing. It's a human thing, and you have to combine both to get success there.
And regarding vulnerabilities, what we discussed last time as well, that there are vulnerabilities you cannot patch because they are in an area of your network when you can just simply not do this. But you can monitor it. You can detect the attempt. Right. You can detect at the point of the potential attack, and then at least you are aware, and then you can decide in time, hopefully, that you need to switch off something or change completely a setup and make uncomfortable a bit more for the business. But until then, you can still operate and don't need to run around.
Right. So it's a common thing at us, for example. I guess I get at least 30 or 40 emails across a day where we notice from monitoring any, let's say, abnormal things and so on, where we say, okay, and this or across all of our team members, so that we of the IT, so that we when might be some people has person has overload, he don't will read this email, but the consequence that each of the others don't read them, it's very, very low. That's so we think if you're sharing this to more people, you will getting more increased rate that anybody is picking them up, or he's picking up and say, hey, guys, very important, I found something what looks suspicious, we need to have attention on it. But if you have only one person, or if you have only one central point where you collect such email, let's say in this manner, then it's getting difficult. And you have to find the people which are using this mailbox and read them through and so on. And they need to have time on and need to understand the case. And IT security, especially cloud security, the things are not so easy. They are more complex and very difficult to find what is right, what is wrong.
Do you have any experience with SASE solutions or the SASE CRM?
The thing with SASE is we are investigating this right now. We have checked several things and so on. We have checked our subset, therefore, for SASE. We are also in contact with some companies yet which are providing SASE. From my absolutely personal perspective, I think for the current requirements and from the state of the art, we have is set up which works without SASE. But I think SASE will be present. It will be a standard in not so many years anymore. So you have to start to understand what is different, what's complete different. It's a complete different approach from what we had in the past and so on. And especially SASE from the network security topic, I'm really 100% convinced that network security is, with cloud-based setup and so on will be much more increased as a topic where you have to cover things and so on.
Mhm.
So
I agree. But on the other hand, it's also a rephrasing of an already known issue or a problem solving probability. But if you have a centralized tool set or tool, hopefully compatible with all of your
we have
current
several.
environment.
We have not only one. We have several. We have several in place. What is, I think, that's so why we still a little bit struggling with SASE, because SASE is a central point, and then you are committed to one provider. It can be that the provider is good, no discussion and so on, but it's one solution. And currently we have several solutions in place from several manufacturers, and the combination with them, they work so smart, and we have also AI-based setup there inside and so on, where we think from the current point of stage, and we have contractings, of course, and you don't want to have paying doubling for same security level, at least. It's also clear. We are not in a position yet to say SASE is for us the right solution. But I would expect it takes maximum 5 years, then it will be more or less standard, and also SASE will be there and have a bigger combination with might be also other tools or increased usage of tools and so on, and subsets, let's say subsets. That's SASE will be a kind of standard.
Yes, probably, most likely that's the key, what you've just said. The standardization is not yet there, but as long as it's there, and like Open XDR or other open standards which we have, or OPC UA in the manufacturing, you will be able to use those solutions. Believe it or not, we've been talking through 45 minutes again. It just flew by very, very quickly, and with a very nice having you here. So, summing up, cloud security cloud is really what you are living. Security has just become natural part of it, as I understood from you, and behaving like humans still. Besides all of the technical issues behind, that's one thing, one more. What I took away from what you said, and being open, and it's it's challenging. That's it's also really what we learned.
It's really challenging.
Does it get better by time, or is it getting worse?
It's getting better. It's getting better. It's getting better. It's getting better because. As looking back 2015 and now, we got also our experience about such things and so on. And on top, the market solution that are on the market and so on, also getting really better and submitted them and so on. And in reflection, if you say, hey, client security and so on in the past, reflect 2015. We had all Windows system on, we had an antivirus on, we had a local firewall on, and you had might be in your LAN environment and at least a normal firewall. What we are talking now, firewall next generation, it's a standard if you want to have a real security standard. On the desktop, you don't have any more only antivirus and then might be in firewall and so on. You have more solutions there, you observe it, you're monitoring a lot more things and so on and so on. So solution on the market got this approach and also understood we have to do more and to get this let's say this kind of USP really to say how we cover IT security in the cloud. And it's really challenging. And all people understood you have, as I mentioned, you have now meanwhile 300 options to configure IT security. And in reflection of them, I had nicely across the weekend a discussion with the company, which I wanted to ask us to review with a workshop our IT security. As a second opinion, I stated, okay, this, we are doing across yearly manner, monthly manner. This we are doing with on top with it in daily manner. And now you're asking me for a second opinion. No, you are more or less the 7th or 8th opinion, what you can catch them up. And that's those saying what changed across the years. In 2015, really reflection. Yeah, you have a laptop, you have Windows, you have a kind of either you have a Kaspersky or whatever kind of product of antivirus there. And meanwhile, you have software and agents on and so on. getting a lot of information. You're getting geolocation by the IP at least, and so on, where the people are working. And you're getting with AI-based solutions an answer. Is it normal that the people are working across these hours, yes or no, or from this site, from this location, and so on? And you're getting at least a warning in 2015. Yeah, the person has said, yeah, I'm driving to Ireland in a vacation, and so on. And hopefully my password is not locked or expired. And it's a huge change. Anyway.
Absolutely true. So for early birds like you, I think there is a very nice simplification going on. Of course, it's going to be complex for the ones who are just starting with cloud security. But all I can say is that I wish you further simplification and standardization with your suppliers and technologies you are using. And I'm really grateful that you've been with us in this episode again. Thank you very much, Steffen Behnke.
It was a pleasure. Greg. As always, yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Stay safe, everyone in the world.
Yeah, okay. Stay healthy. Bye-bye.
This was CyberPod EU, the European cybersecurity podcast powered by SOCWISE.